You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you.
I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what he actually does with the universe we live in.
We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon. The most profound discoveries are not necessarily beyond that next star. They're within us, woven into the threads that bind us.
Hello, beautiful people. Happy Sunday. Happy Mars in Cancer. The first time Mars has changed signs since August of last year. And wow, Mars is making his presence known, at least in my life. I would love to know if you're joining me live, how the energy is feeling for you. Because yeah, I think we should just jump right in and look at the chart as we get started on this chat together. Hi, Katie. Good morning. Hey, Corby. Happy Sunday. So we have both Mars and Pluto at 0 degrees in the chart, as you'll see here. And if you are part of this community, you know 0 degrees, it's a critical degree. There's this eagerness. We just want to like run full force into the energy that this planet will have in this sign. But yeah, there's definitely some restless energy this weekend. Even getting ready for the live stream, I just found myself like doing other things, like just randomly. So feel free to draw me in if I go off on any tangents here. Mercury is conjunct Chiron today as well, so we'll chat all about that. And I would just love to know how the energy has felt for you, and also to say thank you to everyone who's just given me grace as I've continued to postpone the live stream all weekend. This live stream, this community gives me faith that there are good people in the world who can see the best in other people, and I just appreciate you all so much. So happy Sunday. Let's dive in. Also want to pull up the birthdays of the day today because we just have some iconic Aries that we need to celebrate. Keira Knightley, yes, love her. Steven Tyler, I mean, is this not Aries energy to you? This is like Mars at 0 degrees. This is the beginning of Aries season right here. Diana Ross also. I love to say that Aries gives like main character energy or diva energy. And I mean, say no more. Just look at the pictures here. James Caan is how you say his last name. Leslie Mann, Jennifer Grey, the star of Dirty Dancing, is in Aries. Paige Van Zandt, I think she's a UFC fighter. I could be wrong. Leonard Nimoy. Again, sorry if I'm butchering these names. I know their faces. Jonathan Groff, Amy Smart, Kenny Chesney, so many main characters. Robert Frost. Yes, Aries season is upon us. The Aries time is here. Definitely feeling the moon and Mars. Yes, and the moon is in Gemini. So let's get into, we're going to start with Saturday's forecast and the moon shifting into Gemini. But we've got to talk about Mars and Cancer because, like I said, Mars is at 0 degrees of Cancer still. Basically all weekend, Mars has been at one critical degree or another for the past couple days. And with Mars at 29 degrees of Gemini, ending this very long journey that Mars had in Gemini because of its retrograde, it was like, okay, like, let's just get on with it already, you know, like just feeling like we just want to get on to the next thing. We're done with this chapter. And then Mars at 0 degrees of Cancer, the idea of what's it called? Cute aggression keeps coming up for me with Mars at 0 degrees of Cancer. Have you heard about this? It's like an actual term when something or someone is so cute, you just want to like squeeze them aggressively. that feels like Mars in Cancer, or just like angry crying. I don't know. It's a lot of emotions that are infused with anger with Mars moving into Cancer. Yeah, I love that Aries can be so moody for a fire sign. It's so true because, again, it's like Aries is baby energy to me, like wants to be center of attention. I'm the baby, right? But also like just this raw ball of energy. And babies can go from like, laughing and drawing all the attention in the room to them because they're so magnetic and powerful. But also when a baby is crying or screaming, you're just like, I can feel that. You can feel it when like a baby is mad. Powerful energy. Aries season has some powerful energy. It's like lighting the match. It's that initial spark, that initial burst of energy, right? Katie says, been feeling those Mars and Pluto transits. I'm looking forward to Mars and Cancer more than I thought I would. I like the balance of the soft and the aggressive. I am too. I totally feel this, Katie. I'm definitely looking forward to it. And you guys, I'm already feeling better just sitting here talking with you. Sometimes I just have to get out of my own way, but also plans have been changing for me. Lots of aggressive things with the scheduling of my life. So we're here in divine timing. Let's get into the energy of Mars and Cancer. Speaking of looking forward to it. So once Mars moves away from the critical degree, which I believe will be tomorrow, let me actually confirm that. I'm pretty sure this is the last day of Mars at 0 degrees. So if I just jump forward a day here, is Mars going to move for us? Yes, Mars will move to 1 degree tomorrow. Pluto will still be at 0 degrees, but Mars will at least move. So Mars in Cancer through May 20th is like Katie said, which is why I love this being a live stream, because we can all contribute. Anyway, Mars at 0 degrees of Cancer, or just in Cancer in general is what I'm trying to say. I told you my mind is like bing, bing, bing. Mars in Cancer is that nice blend of masculine and feminine because Mars is aggressive, it's assertive, it's direct, it's in your face. And Cancer is that soft pillow to land on, that safe space to go to, the divine feminine, the mother, the home, right? And so I posted to Instagram yesterday, but if you are still feeling the restless energy of Mars at 0 degrees Cancer, cleaning your home, like aggressively taking control of your home, some aggressive cuddling. Again, something that keeps coming up. Also, Cancer rules the stomach. So hanger, definitely possible with Mars and Cancer in general, but specifically at 0 degrees. Make sure to keep your stomach happy with Mars and Cancer. Keep your body nourished because that Mars energy could come out if your stomach is not happy. How can this transit benefit us? In so many ways. So I feel like also I keep like, just with this energy right now, I keep like feeling Mars in my body, if that makes sense, like that fire. Like I keep feeling like this energy rising and I have to like take a deep breath and just settle it back down. That's how this is feeling in my body personally. So I don't know if that resonates with anyone, but there's a lot of potential here. Mars is the ruler of Aries season as well. So Mars is just like the center of attention, the star of the show right now, right? And Mars is that motivation, that drive, that stamina, that instinct, that desire. And with Mars in Cancer, this very nurturing sign, we have a strong desire to protect our own and to take care of others. Our gut instinct is definitely going to be activated with Mars in Cancer because, again, Cancer rules the gut, it rules the stomach. I think that we'll see like what our people, if our people are threatened, there's like that mama bear energy that comes out. Mars in Cancer feels like a mama bear, especially if there's any sort of threat. It's like we're ready. It's almost like being more willing to battle for others' sake than for our own sake. It's like, no, I got to protect my clan. I've got to protect my family. We're really motivated by safety and comfort as well. So the thing that is driving us and motivating us with Mars and Cancer is our family. It is our home, our safe space. So, if you're feeling like driven to make more money or ask for a promotion or get your body in shape or whatever it is that's driving you, this Aries season is likely linked to how you want to be able to show up and take care of others. But also having that safety and comfort for ourselves. I also feel like, Cancer, the sign of the divine feminine, Mars in Cancer is just activating our wild woman. That is a message that's been coming through for me for the past like week or so. And it's like wild woman coming out, that primal feminine force. We're not here to be just soft, just quiet, just mothering. There is something so primal about, not that I'm a mother, but just the act of becoming a mother, the initiation into motherhood, and what it really takes, the grit, determination, and stamina to mother another human being or another just being in general, right? Like that requires a lot of energy and dedication. So we can kind of tap into that, again, mama bear, primal woman energy of like, women get shit done, right? Women show up for their family and are like masters at taking care of others in so many ways. But also with Mars definitely tapping us into our sense of self too, and individuality, it's like finding time to tap into that sacred feminine, sacred rage even for yourself, so not just always doing it for other people, but allowing that part of yourself to come alive for yourself so you can bring that to your family, bring that to your clan and your community. Sacred rage could be something that comes up, especially for women or people with a lot of Cancer energy in their chart. It's like, again, Cancer is very like emotional and nostalgic and caring, but with Mars in Cancer, it's like rage can be really cathartic emotionally too. So remembering that feeling our emotions is part of the human experience, and not just emotions as in crying or saying I love you or being soft, but anger is an emotion too, irritation, restlessness, like needing to move. Again, this nice blend of the masculine, feminine. I think people who are more into their masculine can more easily tap into that Mars energy of like, oh, I'm feeling irritated, I need to go run, I need to go move, versus those of us who are much more tapped into our feminine, we're just like, we need to slow down, we need to soften, so there is this nice blend. And the last thing I will say about Mars in Cancer is that, again, gut instinct and taking action from your intuition. Cancer is very intuitive, and Mars is the planet of action. So checking in with your gut, checking in with your intuition before you move can be really helpful with Mars in Cancer. I have Chiron in Cancer, Katie says, opposing my first house where I have a stellium, of course. I'm leaning into hope for healing and new beginnings. And I think that Mars in Cancer could really move the needle forward in your relationships as well, right? With Mars moving into your 7th house. Love this for you. Hi, Nick. Oh, have so much fun at the beach with your family. Sending you lots of love. Yeah, Corby's feeling it too. Well, again, Pluto being your ruling planet, I'm sure you're feeling a lot of things. Aries risings and Scorpio risings, especially Scorpio risings, because gosh, the traditional ruler of Scorpio is Mars. So technically both of your ruling planets are at 0 degrees if you're a Scorpio rising, and Aries risings definitely feeling that as well, because most likely if you're an Aries rising, you got a lot of planets hanging out at the end of your 12th house, getting ready to move into your 1st house. Mars is your ruling planet and Mars is at 0 degrees. It's a lot. So hang in there if either of those are your rising sign. Yeah, but all of us feeling that impulse, like Corby is saying, like a lot of the rising up, like that is totally how I'm feeling. Like things want to rise up and come out, and I'm like, okay, how can I let this out productively so it's not like breathing fire on everybody around me? And also, how can I avoid pushing it down? And what we'll get into as far as today's forecast could help with that. Yeah, feeling all of it. I felt off. Yeah, you might be feeling. The other thing I think with Mars and Cancer is, it's not quite like Pisces season where our antennas are like wide open and we're feeling all the energy, but I do feel like we are more empathic when Mars is in a water sign, and the moon as well, but the moon's not in a water sign right now. But I just feel like, we might be feeling other people's like anger or irritation as well. So making sure always, not just because of the astrology transits, making sure you're not taking on other people's irritation, because we're all feeling it. Like you're probably feeling the collective energy as well. Yes, just told myself earlier my feelings are valid, acknowledging them and trying to journal them out and cry. Perfect for today's energy too. Just perfect. So hang in there. Hang in there. You have the tools. You're taking care of yourself, which is the most important thing. Thank you, Terry. This is almost too much my vibe. Yeah. Mars in Cancer, like, it does have a little bit of Taurus energy for some reason too. It's like that blend of Aries and Cancer does feel a little Taurus-y, and Alyssa's a Taurus, but also she's got an Aries moon. So, definitely feeling the feelings. Okay, so that's Mars in Cancer. It'll be there until May 20th. We're feeling it on full blast right now though. And the waxing crescent moon moved into Gemini yesterday. So let's just chat about that a little bit before we really dive into today's transits. I love that Corby already talked about trying to journal it out, because all weekend using our words to process our emotions can be really helpful. When the moon is in Gemini, our feelings are almost felt through our mind, because Gemini is ruled by Mercury. It's a very mental energy. So talking things out with other people, if that feels good to you, can be really helpful. Maybe not even talking about how you're feeling with other people, but I noticed for myself yesterday that being around other people and just talking about other things and kind of like distracting my mind. Again, this is not like therapeutic advice. This is just what worked for me. That was really helpful, because I do feel like right now, with so much going on at 0 degrees, and the moon in Gemini, there can be this tendency to like fixate on something in our mind. So maybe it's like having a conversation about something else, just so you're not pouring yourself down the hole of like thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it. Or, as Corby beautifully demonstrated, journaling. Rage on the page. Rage on the page is one of the best tools I ever learned from reading a Gabby Bernstein book. Like, just automatic writing, just letting it out. Maybe burn it when you're done. Like, that might feel good today too. Working with a little bit of fire, like releasing it safely. Because Mars is at 0 degrees. So don't move too quickly. Okay. Like, make sure we're safe here. But yeah, using your words, using your mind to process your emotions. It's funny because the more I dive into astrology, the more I'm sure some of you have heard of like IFS, internal family systems, and parts work, which is like acknowledging all the different parts of you and how they interact with each other and the stories they bring, your inner child, your shadow self. You can call it whatever you want. But it's funny because the more I work with astrology, the more I'm like, oh, the planets kind of represent different parts of ourselves as well. And so my point here is that our mind is going to be thinking a lot of things probably right now. So, having tools to allow that part of yourself to process your emotions can be really helpful. Like, our emotional self, our heart, our mind, are all these different parts of us that kind of need their own attention sometimes. And I am feeling like, take care of your brain today. Take care of your mindset. Maybe it's journaling affirmations too, and kind of like rewriting your thoughts. That could be really helpful as well. But in general, over the next couple of days, you might really find yourself enjoying conversations with other people too. Intellectual conversations, learning new information. And with the waxing crescent moon in Gemini, this is the time to plan, to prepare, to take those next steps based on the intentions you set under that very powerful Aries new moon, which was at, yes, 0 degrees. So 0 degrees is like the theme lately. New beginnings, starting something new, still very potent energy for starting. And so the waxing crescent moon in Gemini is like, okay, do we have everything we need, all the information, all the connections before we really start and get going and move the energy of the seed we planted at the new moon? Having a conversation with other people could be really helpful for that. Just talking about your intentions, or just talking in general, letting spirit move the conversation to where it needs to go, right? Also, just keeping a journal handy for any ideas that come through with all this fresh energy. You might have a powerful idea that comes through, or even a thought. So keep something to write with nearby. Corby said scheduled sister time for the weekend to just check in and laugh. Perfect for the Gemini moon. I haven't been able to connect with them with the craziness in my world. Taking time to connect with the people you love and feel safe with is such a powerful way to work with this energy. Bestie time here in a little while. And I know I'm going to cry. We haven't seen each other since the year began. Oh, I love this. So perfect. So perfect. Yesterday, also right when the moon moved into Gemini, it harmonized with Pluto. So again, bringing that emphasis to Pluto at 0 degrees, which probably brought up some deep emotions. But this really feels like powerful ideas and perspectives coming through. It's just, it might come through in rather intense or jarring or uncomfortable ways that like, it's like little seeds that are like going to push us later on to transform, I feel like is what's dropping through this weekend. Yeah, or even just little baby steps that don't feel like they might amount to much now, but I think it's all part of like a bigger transformative cycle we're entering. And then late last night, the moon squared Saturn, which can just bring up harsh lessons, crashing hard, getting really tired early, or just negative feelings when the moon squares Saturn. So, you know, if you have felt any sort of like negativity, irritation, aggression, restlessness, sadness, anything icky this weekend, basically it's in the forecast. So you're not going crazy. Totally par for the course right now. It's the chaotic good for me. Yeah, it is. It's like, I think hindsight, you know, is 2020. And Aries season, we're very much focused on looking ahead, the path ahead, right? And it's not until usually like Pisces season, at the end of the year, where we're like, wow, look at how much transformed since then. So we're at the very beginning and we're definitely looking at things moving forward, but it's like whatever is transforming or coming up or changing or being activated or little wounds are being poked right now are likely just the beginning of this process. And in a month, 2 months, 3 months, I don't even know how long, it's so individual, but in time, you will look back and be like, wow, there's a reason that came up when it did. You know, there's a reason, but it's right now we're in it, you know? But I love like believing in the chaotic good. Just one more note on this. I love believing in the chaotic good. I had a moment like that yesterday where I was running super behind. I had to cancel things, postpone things. It was just a lot dealing with other people's emotions mostly, but my own as well. And, you know, there was a missed opportunity or like, you know, 2 ships passing in the night kind of situation. And I was like, you know, I just trust that I was not meant to see that person today. Like, I am trusting in the chaotic good. So thank you for reminding me of that, Alyssa. Intense is the right word. Haven't been able to shake it. The image I just got when I read this was a baby coming out of the womb. Aries season, transformation, 0 degrees, the discomfort of initiation, of starting something, right? And it's like, I always think about, how does birth feel for the baby? Like, we all experience that. We just don't remember it. Probably pretty terrible, you know, just like really uncomfortable for everyone involved, Kind of scary, a little uncomfortable, and very intense, very intense. It's like, we're just being birthed, you guys. We're just being birthed. Just it'll get easier when we start to, yes. Oh my gosh. Emerging is like my word for the year. That is my spring word. Emerging is not always easy or fun. We're canceling the affirmation I wrote for the weekend. This is the affirmation. Emerging is not always easy or fun. I was numb for my son, but what an experience. I mean, even just like mentally, what's happening in your body, obviously it doesn't feel good regardless for 99.99% of people. But yeah, change of reality. Ooh, I like that, Terry. Yeah. Ooh, dark and gloomy where Nikki is in Montreal, like coming out of the womb. The light is coming, you guys. Spring is coming. It's coming. Just know that emerging is not always easy or fun. Yeah. Perfect energy. Okay, let's talk about what's going on today. So the moon is hanging out in Gemini today. And early this morning, it formed a sextile to the sun. So there was that sense, especially on Sunday, of like, okay, keep going. We got the confidence. Like our mind is supporting our emotions. We're like, we're here. Okay. The moon is sextile the sun. We're here. We're willing to show up. We're willing to do the work. We've got the confidence. We know we can do this, even if things are difficult right now. And then the only other connection the moon makes is a sextile to the Mercury Chiron conjunction that is playing out quite literally as we speak. So let's pull that up on the chart. Let's see what we're looking at here. We have Mercury and Chiron both at 15 degrees of Aries, and Jupiter's still just 2 degrees away. So everything we're talking about with Mercury and Chiron today is amplified. It's expanded. It's like it's under a magnifying glass because Jupiter magnifies everything it touches. It makes things bigger, makes things feel like a bigger deal. But there's also a lot of growth potential when Jupiter is this close or involved in any sort of transit. So just know that everything that we're about to talk about, Jupiter's right there. Jupiter's got us. It's all for our growth. It's all for our expansion, even if it feels really big right now. So Mercury, the planet of communication, our mindset, there's a lot of mental activation going on right now. With Mercury and Aries too, it could feel like the mental activation is a little aggressive. Okay, turn down the volume of our mindset just a little bit. Like the voice in your head might feel loud with Mercury in Aries. And then Chiron has been in Aries for years now. Chiron has this really long transit through Aries, and I believe through Taurus as well because of Chiron's orbit. A lot of inner child wounding and healing has been addressed already. Chiron's only halfway through its transit through Aries, but have you noticed over the past couple of years, just collectively, how many people are trying to heal their inner child? Aries is like little kid energy, you know? It's definitely forcing us to face almost like our original wounds, our first wounds, Aries being the first sign. So Mercury conjunct Chiron, you might be thinking a lot about your wounding or talking about your wounding, but it's always in the same breath that when we talk about our wounding, we're also talking about our healing. They're two sides of the same coin, right? So it's like, if your wounds are coming up, if they are screaming at you, like Corby and I mean loud. I feel like my thoughts are screaming at me. Like we have to address this and we have to do it now. That is Mercury and Aries. Yeah. And if it feels like that, okay, this is really loud and on full blast right now because it's an opportunity for healing. Jupiter's right here. It's magnifying this. It's making sure I know about it. And Jupiter has been conjunct Chiron for like a couple weeks now, it feels like. So, because, you know, Chiron's barely moving out there and Jupiter moves fairly slowly in its own right. So, you know, we've been having these wounds magnified, and with Mercury here, it's like we can't mentally ignore them any longer. Hello, are you going to pay attention to this wound? What are you going to do about it? Especially in Aries, it's like, what are you going to do about it? And I would just love, if that's how it feels for you, to give you permission that you don't necessarily have to do anything about it. Even just acknowledging that it's there. And at least in my journey, what I have learned is like just acknowledging, okay, this is part of me. This is a wound that I'm carrying. How can I show more love to myself? How can I give that part of me the thing that I needed that created the original wound, right? So if your original wound or this big wound that you're feeling right now is that, you know, I'm not good enough. This is just an example. Maybe writing affirmations about how great you actually are, like, you know, with the moon in Gemini, even like retraining your brain a little bit, retraining your mindset and giving yourself the thing that you needed when that wound was opened originally, probably at some point in your childhood, just based on the transits. So, you know, how can you tell yourself the things that maybe you needed to hear from an adult that make you feel good? You know, so trying to see things maybe from that approach could be helpful if you're having these thoughts on replay, instead of just letting them play over and over again and scream at you. Okay, why are you screaming at me? What do you need? What can I tell you that maybe I needed to hear all those years ago? What can I do for you? Yeah. Hi, Diane. And Mars is opposing your Mercury in Capricorn. Whew. Yeah. So that's just even making those thoughts louder for you than everyone is already feeling. It's like, and that almost need to like do something about it is probably heightened as well. Whew, Corby. I'm so glad that you have the tools you have and the people around you to support you through this today, because you deserve support. I know that you give support to so many people. You deserve support. Diane says, it's interesting we're talking about wounding. My mom was talking to me last night about when she was pregnant with me and was retelling the story of how I might have been a twin. Funny that your right, your Chiron is in Gemini, and that's like, and it's right on your ascendant, right? And so we talked about it during Diane's reading that we did months ago, that, you know, with her Chiron and Gemini on her ascendant, her original wound could have been that like she had this twin, right? So cool. When in readings, it's always hard to tell like what people's Chiron means because wounding is so individual, right? So I try not to like assume, but when stuff like that comes up, I'm like, whoa, that is just freaking wild. Isn't that crazy, Corby? Yeah. Hey, Rachel. Wow, Diane. She says, I've been feeling alone in so many of my struggles lately and dealing with childhood wounds, past wounds, healing losses lately. So this is so interesting. She's feeling a trigger too. You know what's interesting about that is I feel like that mother's intuition is really strong right now with Mars at 0 degrees of Cancer. Like mom stuff, mother stuff, definitely coming up, and not necessarily in a good way or a bad way, but it's just, yeah, that mother's instinct definitely feels heightened. Yes, we are so grateful for you. Yeah, and your Chiron very close by in your first house in Gemini. Oh, yeah. And I think this is a beautiful example. I'm going to use Diane as just a great example that we can all take away from with Mercury conjunct Chiron. Talking about your wounding, writing about your wounding, calling up a friend and, you know, being willing, having the courage. We can definitely tap into courage and bravery with this conjunction happening in the courageous sign of Aries, having the courage to be like, this is what's been coming up for me. This is a wounding I'm working through. It's not a fun conversation. You know, it's really tempting to just keep things light and fun when we're hanging out with our friends sometimes, but you might spark something in them that is healing for them too, and vice versa. Sometimes it's nice to get another person's perspective or learn more information. Maybe that person has read a book that would be really great for you that they can connect you with, you know? So first house is like your appearance, your sense of self, but it is interesting that it's, you know, the first house again is that Aries energy, like right when you come out, this is what I'm here to do. So it's interesting that Diane's Chiron shows up there, like almost what we said or what we kind of came to the conclusion of in her reading. Hopefully you don't mind me sharing this, Diane, was just like right when she showed up in the world, it's like, was there supposed to be two of her, another one, you know, like, and then even her saying like, I've been feeling alone in so many of my struggles lately, like that being part of her healing journey, like you were meant to come here all on your own, you know? Anyway, thank you, Diane. We are sending love right back to you. Thank you for letting me use you as an example. There's so much we can learn from other people. And it's beautiful. We have a Gemini moon today while Mercury is conjunct Chiron. Don't be afraid to spark that conversation and learn something from someone you trust. Rachel says, feeling pretty triggered today. I'm just still exhausted. I don't know how much longer I can be the strong one. Ooh, if this is not a Mercury conjunct Chiron and Aries statement, because Aries is the independent. I can be the strong one. I can carry the team on my back. You know, I can do it all. So wounding around doing it all, being, you know, having to do it all alone could be coming up as well. Also, I will say just feeling irritable, feeling triggered with Mercury and Chiron conjunct in Aries. Anytime we have intense Mars activation, intense Aries activation, yeah, like being triggered, definitely par for the course. It'll be really interesting to see how Chiron shows up when he eventually moves into Taurus, you know, because I think the energy of Chiron might be a little less triggering fingers crossed. I haven't really tracked Chiron in a different sign for a while, so we'll see. We'll find out together. Yes, remember, you don't have to be the strong one, Rachel. We can redefine what being the strong one looks like for you. This feels so on point for Mars and Cancer too, like that willpower and the desire and the determination to take care of other people, but it's equally as important to allow ourselves to be taken care of and to receive the love that we give. So yeah, redefine being the strong one. Also, might look like, in redefining it, showing up for yourself first so you can show up more strongly for other people. Being a little selfish in your self-care. Wow. Diane's mom had a doctor's appointment. They heard 2 heartbeats, and then she had major pregnancy complications, was in the hospital for a week, and they thought she lost the baby. They were surprised to find she was still pregnant. She has Rh negative blood type. So they're thinking my twin shared her blood type, and that causes complications. So wild. So wild. Oh, good, John. He says, yes, this helps me to not be triggered. That makes me so happy to hear. Sometimes it's just having a space like this or a good conversation with friends to witness ourselves, to witness our own emotions and be like, okay, that's where I'm at right now. Period. That's where I'm at. We acknowledged it. We've talked about it. We're going to be here for a sec. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, let's just meet ourselves where we're at. Start where you're at. Yeah, so basically Diana's a miracle is the takeaway from this whole story. But she might have had a twin. But your soul wanted to be here, Diane, because you're here to do big things. Such a cool story. Thank you for sharing. So yes, the moon will connect in a sextile with this Mercury Chiron conjunction right around 11 p.m. Pacific time, so overnight. So as the day goes on, you might be having more realizations, but having the journal handy, having a friend on speed dial can really help, using our words to process what's coming up for us emotionally. And normally this would be the time where I pull up my affirmation, but I just want to go back and find that comment from Corby because it was so good. And it's the affirmation I needed to hear today. Emerging is not always easy or fun. It's spring, we're emerging, we planted the seeds. Also think about how uncomfortable it might feel. This is getting a little woo-woo, but I really do feel like plants have feelings. It's probably really uncomfortable for that seedling to like break out of the shell and push through the soil, kind of like birth, right? Going through the birth canal. It's dark, but then eventually the leaves will reach the light. Okay, there is light up there. It's coming. We are emerging. It just might not be easy or fun in the moment, and that is totally okay. Yes, the sextile will happen tonight, and the sextile brings some support. So, our ability to communicate is supportive today. I had a vivid dream last night that I journaled. I had vivid dreams last night too, which were very active. I don't know why, but I had some very active dreams early this morning. So right there with you, but your subconscious may be telling you, hey, grab that journal. Okay, let's finish up with a card pull. I decided to pull from the Light Seers Tarot. Kind of perfect that we've been talking about the light is coming. Like maybe the question we ask the cards today is like, when is the light coming? Or what do we need to know about the emerging process in general? Ooh, this card wanted to slide right off the top. Do I want it? No, we're going to shuffle. I'm feeling a little funky today. Yes, don't we love active dreams? I had some very, very weird dreams. I was in weird places, weird people. Emerging is breaking through. Yes. And that takes energy, effort. So when we emerge, we need to congratulate ourselves on whatever we broke through or overcame to get there. Beautifully said. Yeah. Emerging takes energy, takes the energy of Aries season to push through the dirt, right? To come out into the sun. I love that. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Okay. Do a little more shuffling here. I'm just going to pull one card. This is a tarot deck, but I am not a tarot expert. I'm just going to read whatever description is in the guidebook. If any tarot experts are watching or finding this video later and you have any other insight on what the card might mean, please, please, please feel free to comment. Or that's regardless of if you are a tarot expert. If you're just, there it is. If you're just a human and you have some realization or insight, you are always welcome to share that with us in the comments. All right, the card flipped over. The card made itself known, and it is the Five of Cups that came through. So let me pull that up in the guidebook. All right, here is the message from the Five of Cups. Grieving, disillusion, disappointment, betrayal, bitterness, wallowing, self-pity can signify a broken heart. This card is calling me out. Okay, here is the full message. The illusion is lifting, and you may suddenly find yourself in the middle of a reality that is painfully disappointing. If your dark night was a result of someone else's deception, you will need to find the seeds of forgiveness in order to avoid a calloused heart. Release yourself from any guilt around the situation. When we realize that the future we were working toward is no longer an option, it's easy to focus on the loss and allow our energy to stagnate and spiral into self-pity. Whew. Don't allow your life force to drain away with the things you once loved. Don't allow your life force to drain away with the things you once loved. Allow your tender heart to navigate toward the curative magic of finding faith in your future. If you are having a hard time letting go, unhook your heart from your fragmented dreams and give yourself permission to envision a brighter future. Dismantle your grief, reclaim your happiness, and consciously step back onto a path filled with hope. My tender heart helps me navigate toward my bright future. My tender heart helps me navigate toward my bright future. Beautiful with Mars at 0 degrees of Cancer. Beautiful with all the emotions that are coming up. And it's interesting because something that I sort of, that came up as I was reading this is like, if there's anything you were meant to let go of in Pisces season, if there's anything that you're still sort of energetically connected to or tied to from the past cycle that you need to let go of, but you're just kind of not willing to, that could be something that's aggravating you or, sort of draining your life force, as this card said. Resentment drains our life force, and resentment is really probably hurting you more than the person that you are resenting. I truly believe we can feel that energetic connection between other people, but cutting the cord to resentment is a gift you give yourself. It's not, forgiveness is for you, not for the person you're forgiving. So, one of my symbols was a pressure cooker. Yeah, that feels pretty aligned too. Like, what is boiling at the surface that just wants to be released? Yes, Diane, we need to plant seeds of forgiveness in order to sprout and emerge. Yes. When we forgive, we release ourselves. Beautiful affirmations, everyone. You cannot grow a healthy garden in toxic soil. Yeah. Yes. If you are letting this is a perfect example. Like if you have a garden bed and you're trying to plant new things, but you still have a bunch of old, dead plants in the garden, that's going to be draining the life force of the soil and draining the nutrients that are much better served going into this new seed, right? So, you cannot grow a healthy garden in toxic soil. I keep getting this message to break all any energy cords that are taking all my energy. Like my energy is intertwined with others throughout the years, and it's time to break all of that. Beautiful for Aries season too, like working with standing just in your energy individually, alone, not connected to anyone else. Not that you have to do it all alone, but you are here to live for you. You are here to live your life alone. Nobody else is going to live your life. So putting your life and your experience first, being a little selfish, especially for someone like you, Rachel, who is so selfless. Maybe your medicine that you can pull from Aries season, because Aries can be a little bit selfish. No offense to any Aries watching, but Aries is the self, right? So Yeah, maybe being a little more selfish, learning to be a little more selfish during Aries season. One of my dogs is an Aries and he's just so selfish. Like he'll take the ball, he'll be playing with our other dog or multiple dogs, and he just takes the ball for himself. And I'm like, you're so selfish, man. But I just know he's an Aries and it's part of his makeup. It's okay. He can't help it. Forgiveness is for yourself. It's the key part to letting go. Absolutely. Well, I know my soul feels a lot better after talking things out with you all, talking about the energy with Mercury conjunct Chiron. Speaking feels like it's been very healing for me today. So I want to thank you for showing up and holding this space for me just as much as I try to hold it for you. It's a beautiful energy exchange we have here, and I truly love each and every one of you and all the insight that you have shared today. Yeah, maybe not totally selfless or selfish, just self-aware, but it's okay to put yourself first. I think especially as women, we sometimes our wounding is not putting ourselves first, learning that we have to take care of everybody else first. So it's okay to put yourself first. Plants have feelings. I love that this just came up. Yes. Honestly, if anybody can speak for plants having feelings, I truly feel like Alyssa is the person for that. Absolutely. Yeah, I totally needed this too. I definitely needed it today. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Alyssa had a dream she sourced hundreds of sparkly rosaries. Please start carrying rosaries. I've always wanted to get a rosary, but I just don't feel great about where they're coming from. I would feel so great about buying a rosary from you. Please, please. Yes. Let that be a seed that is planted in Aries season for you. I would love that. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so very much for your kindness, your graciousness with me. As I work on being a more compassionate person for the other people in my life, I truly feel like I have learned so much about compassion from each and every one of you who continue to cheer me on and remind me that it's okay if I'm not feeling up to going live, or if my schedule gets all thrown out of whack like it has, it's okay. So I deeply, deeply, deeply appreciate that medicine that each of you gives me through this interaction. So I just love you all, and I'm feeling so much better, and I will be back tomorrow. My internet's working again, and Mars will be out of the 0 degree, and it's a new week. Always an opportunity to start fresh with every day, and that's another little tidbit we can pull from Aries season 2. We can always restart. We can always start fresh. All right. With that, I will let you enjoy the rest of your weekend. So grateful that you continue to show up for yourselves, that you continue to show up for this community. If you're new here, we're so glad you found us. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel so we can keep these forecasts coming to you for free every day. And until I see you next, stay curious. Thank you so much for joining us and aligning with the energy of the universe today. If you enjoyed this morning's episode of Transits Today, you can join our live astrology discussion every weekday morning right here wherever you're watching. And head to thespiritualjournalist.com to read your daily astrology forecast and browse the Spiritual Shop. The most fun way to help keep these forecasts free and support more content like this is to buy yourself a little something on our website. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can also buy me a coffee to fuel future live streams. Just tap the link in the description or head to buymeacoffee.com and search The Spiritual Journalist. And speaking of, you can also tune in to The Spiritual Journalist, our weekly live interview where we ask our guests questions about everything from crystals and manifestation to mental health and the environment. Those conversations stream live right here wherever you're watching now every Tuesday. I'm so grateful you found us here, and I can't wait for our next conversation.